Good morning and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. Let's see how Dawn is progressing. All right, well, it's breaking. Today, it's only going to get up to 46 degrees. 2 days ago it was 83. Oh well. All right, we have 10 High bourbon, a blend introduced in 1935, sour mash, 80 proof from Kentucky, and a Sazerac brand. Versus Jethro T boots, introduced in 2014, also sour mash, 80 proof, and produced by Sazerac for CVS Pharmacy. And you can see how much I've drunk. Now, some people say, oh, it's too bad in my state I cannot get liquor at grocery stores and convenience stores and pharmacies. Well, in this state, we can, depending on the parish, but usually, yes, we can. And so you can go to CVS Pharmacy and there's liquor on the shelf, just like groceries. It's not behind a counter. You just grab what you want, go to the counter, buy it, just like if you were buying aluminum cooking pans, you know, baking pans, or slippers. So I bought this. It's $8.99 if you have a CVS pharmacy card. It costs you a little more if you don't, but you know, I'm not somebody that goes to CVS more than once every 3 or 4 years. And oh, that one's aged 4 years and this one is aged 3 years. So there's the difference. 3 year versus 4 years. Will I be able to tell the difference? Perhaps, because I think the Jethro T boots will be a little more roasty, or charred, I should say, charred wood. Now, this is $9.99 or $10.99 depending on the store, but I think when I bought it a couple of years ago it was $9.99. They had it at Mathern's. Mathern's carries it. Now, some stores only have it in the big handle bottles, big plastic 1.75 milliliter. Mathern's carries it in the 750. It's still got that strange hazy look with grit throughout. It's almost like they forgot to filter it. I cannot get over that. If you want to see a whiskey that has dust floating in it, or something that seems like dust, you can buy it. Now this one here, the Jethro T boots, it's perfectly clear. And you can see, you might, I don't know, probably can't, the video definition is not that great. This one is hazy. From a distance, it's hazy. This one is clear. This one is just shade lighter. This one's amber. This one's more gold amber. But up close, I mean, the sediment is so apparent and so strange. Yeah, okay, that's the 10 High, the JTB, Jethro T boots. Let's check it out. I'm trying to do Sazerac versus Sazerac, and then try to do versus the Beam brands, and then the Brown-Forman brands. Okay. No reason in particular, just this kind of goes in order, I guess. Now, since it's a blended bourbon, I guess I can kind of cross over, right? Do it against straight bourbons and blended. It kind of like can appropriately compete with both styles, your straight bourbon and then your blended whiskey, because this is sort of a hybrid in between. And they do have other blended bourbons on the market. Kentucky Gentleman, and then some other ones from other companies, Brown-Forman and your Diageo, I guess, but they're obscure in most cases, obscure. And then you might be saying, well, why do you always go after these obscure brands? You would get way better view counts if you were doing Elijah Craig and Jack Daniels and Jim Beam and well, you know, all those, I can't think of it. You know what I mean? Buchanan's, and if I was doing gin, why did I do Clubhouse instead of Tanqueray, right? Or Gordon's. I understand that, and if I was chasing view counts, that would be what I would do, obviously, because like look at beer. I do Budweiser, you get thousands of views, but then I'll do some obscure Louisiana brand and get dozens of views. So, but that isn't the goal in on this channel. So, if the goal was view counts, I would know how to do that. That would be no problem. But if the goal is just to have a hobby and have fun and share it with people, and then and I'm attracted to the obscure oddball brands, the ones that fly under the radar. Well, that's one of the ones I chase. Yeah, I mean, I could do Captain Morgan rum, and I may eventually get to those, but 10 high, you know, as no one else is addressing it. You know, there was maybe a few video reviews for it. I can't remember. I know certainly weren't any for Jethro T boots, except I believe one other guy, and he does the working man's whiskey, right? He talked about it, and then he's attracted to these oddball brands too, because he did that that Walmart branded straight Tennessee whiskey type thing, although I think it's from Florida. Tennessee style whiskey, Yellowtail, not Yellowtail. Can't remember the name. Fishtail, something like that. I don't know. It's on the shelf. I never bought it. It's only $10.99. Okay. All right. I better not look, right? Because one is hazy and one's clear. So if I look, I'm gonna know. I gotta avoid eye contact. It's chilly, so I'm wearing this Saints pullover from the Unpatriotic Football League. Okay. Oh, anytime I gotta get. The cold air really affects my nose, my sinuses, because that sharp air is almost like mint. You know, mint gets my nose running. Any kind of spice, and the sharp air is like spice, like mint. It's mentholated in a way. But I take one vitamin C every day. I rarely ever get a cold. Honestly, I'm serious. Ever since I started doing that about 15 years ago, I used to get bad colds, but I was around students all the time, right? And they're always sick and everything. But I started taking one vitamin C every morning. It seemed to do the trick. I tell you, something about that. Okay. And I've stopped drinking soft drinks pretty much completely, maybe one a year. And I think that's improved my health. You know, no soda pop, soft drinks, whatever you call them. Soda. We call them soft drinks here. I just think my health improved overall. Those things are treacherous, I believe. And they don't even taste good anyway with that corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup. Now the pure sugar ones, the ones you use, you know, the Mexican versions that use the cane sugar, yeah, those taste pretty good. But I don't mess with it anymore. Thank the Lord. Thank you, God, for giving me that help. I'm not being flip about it or jocular about it. I really believe that it helped me. I see people walking around drinking Diet Coke all day long. All day. How can that be good? Why shouldn't they just drink water? Just drink water. Okay, now that's a very pleasant aroma, and it's spicy and it's peppery. I mean, these are Sazerac brands. They're going to have the rye. Okay, Sazerac is, if you're into rye-oriented whiskey, Sazerac is the place to be, because they're not all that way, but they tend to be that way. I mean, you can get on their Weller brands, and some of them are wheated, and you know whatever, but they like to mess with the rye. Okay, so that's very rye oriented, spicy, woody. I think it's Jethro T boots. This one here, this one is sweeter. Oh, sure, it has a little char, a little wood, a little vanilla, a little dried flowers, a little candied fruit cake, all that stuff, but it's milder on the char and the spice. So I think it must be 10 high. Now, this is only going with the aroma. And I remember that the 10 high from the previous ones did not present much aroma, but then the flavor was bursting. So it was kind of an oddball thing. And it was different with the VO we did last night. We did the Seagram's VO from Canada, and it's the opposite. It's a flip. Huge aroma. Very intricate and complex aroma, but the flavor is muted. You just don't get much in the flavor. So it's kind of, this one here is opposite. Not much in the aroma, but then the flavor is all there. So it's strange. Okay, taste. Imagine that you can get this kind of complexity in an $8.99 bottle. And it's sort of why I'm been stuck in the gutter, so to speak. You know, you might say, oh, you just mess with nothing but rot gut brands. Well, you know, rot gut really is referring back to adulterated whiskeys from years ago that was made with dangerous additives and fillers, which was literally rotting people's gut and killing people. And that's why the U.S. government instituted the Bottled in Bond Act 1897 and some other regulations. Not that I'm not saying I support government regulation. I think that can be done by an industry code, self-regulating industry code, but there was certainly problems with outlaw whiskeys, bourbons, rums, brandies, gin. That was literally killing people. So today, your low, below the bottom shelf brands, you get some pretty good quality. I can't say that's the case for beer, though. Beer is just too fine in the sense that the tastes are so fine that if there's any kind of inferiority, it's going to show up immediately. And you get these bargain basement beer brands, and they're just dreadful. I mean, they won't make you sick, I guess, but they just taste so horrible relative to what you could get if you just spent another 50 cents per six-pack. But the whiskeys and the gins isn't so. It is not the case. You get these cheapos, and they're not bad. They're just not bad in my booklet. Now, everybody has a different opinion, but I thought the Clubhouse gin was very interesting, and I saw a lot of it 2 days ago at that convenience store on Louisiana Highway 30 in Baton Rouge. They had all kind of sizes of it. I said, look at all this Clubhouse. And it has a very distinct lemony flavor. I don't know what kind of botanicals they use, but it's interesting. Very interesting. Didn't buy any. I bought the Kentucky Gold blended whiskey instead. I said, Kentucky Gold, never heard of that to my recollection, but it's Heaven Hill. It's another one of those Heaven Hill brands, of which there are, it seems like 1,000. They masquerade, you know, like Sazerac. They masquerade under these pseudonyms, these pen names, so to speak. And that's why those lawsuits have failed in the beer world. You know, the guy's gonna sue Coors Brewing Company because he claims he was injured because he bought Blue Moon and he thought it was a craft beer, and it says Blue Moon Brewing Company, and he claimed that was a tort, that he needed recompense, needed monetary damages. He might have bothered, and his lawyer, who should be fired, or if he works for a firm, or if he's a partner and D partner, whatever, because maybe he should have looked at the regulations, which the law, that's what these court cases go by, the law. The law says you can have a pseudonym or an assumed name as long as it's registered with whatever office handles that. I think Sazerac has 100 different pseudonyms, so you can say bye-bye to your lawsuit. And the beer companies are part of the Tax and Trade Bureau. There's beer, wine, liquor right there. Very clear. And that's why these cases are out of hand dismissed. Sorry, it's not a fraud because you could have simply looked it up. That's what the judge is going to say. You couldn't take 10 minutes to look it up, and you're going to claim it's a tort, and you really believed that it was a craft beer? That seems very unlikely. You just wanted to sue Coors to get money. Or maybe another company secretly put you up to it. Getting off the rant and rave, back to the taste challenge. That's part of the taste challenge, not to do a rant and rave with Ronald. Just do the challenge, but we get off track. I have to say that in the flavor, they both presenting, and that 10 high does that, presenting a lot of charred wood. Now, hey, you know what? Sazerac is using first used charred white oak for both of these. These are not rerun brands. They're not being aged in used barrels. That cannot happen. I mean, it can happen, just can't be called a bourbon. Okay, well, they are called bourbons. Legally, it must be aged in a charred, doesn't have to be white oak. That just tends to be what they use. White oak barrel. Now, there would be your tort. If you could somehow prove that they were lying and they weren't using new barrels or something like that, I don't know how I guess it could be done. But the companies aren't going to do that because they know that makes them liable, and they don't really have time for fraud lawsuits and all that. So they don't do it. They just do what they're supposed to, I would think. This challenge is challenging. You hear what I'm telling you? This challenge is challenging because I can't tell them apart. And one is straight whiskey and one is a blended bourbon. But dang it if they're not close. And one's 4 years age and one's 3 years age, but dang it if they're not close. So this is going to take a little bit of effort. Like Carpenter's song. It's going to take some time this time. You like to eat charcoal? Because if you like to chew on charcoal, this could be in your game plan. These two whiskeys, let me tell you. And I know people that don't mess with bourbon because they can't stand that taste. They say, "Oh, I hate that." They reach for the blended whiskeys because they don't like that char. I mean, I like it, but they don't. That woody char, they just hate it. Not to mention that strong corn thing you'll pick up if you think about it long enough. It's almost like you're drinking cornbread. But okay, I'm going to call it. I think the one on my right is 10 high because it's not quite as super charred. Okay. So I think this is 10 high, but which one's better? Oh, boy. Well, essentially, it's a tie. Okay. For all intents and purposes, there is no appreciable or important difference. There are negligible differences. But sometimes that's how you break the tie. You look at the little search for little threads of differentiation. And I think the one on the left is and when I say better, we're talking about one might be a 92 out of 100. I'm just picking numbers arbitrarily. And one might be a 91 out of 100. You know what I mean? It's that close. So I wouldn't pay $1 more. I wouldn't pay 50 cents more one versus the other. Okay, so pick your poison, so to speak. It's up to you. I don't. Neither one has knocked out the contest. That can't be, no. So now the challenge, we got past the winner, which is the one on the left by a nose, and I mean a molecule on his nose or a piece of skin. So I think that's Jethro T boots, and I think that's 10 high. Would I recommend either? I would recommend both, especially when you consider you're paying less than $11 per bottle for either one. So great products when price point is considered. Just fantastic. Sazerac's got, well, they're kind of like Pabst. You know, they went around and they bought up a bunch of struggling little brands for pennies on the dollar, and then they just make their money off that. Now, yeah, I know they have their premier stuff too. Let's not, we know they have the Buffalo Trace and the Weller and the Old Charter and the Pappy Van Winkle. They got people that wait in line overnight for Pappy Van Winkle, depending on the variant. So yeah, they got all the premier. But something's telling me that their major money's coming in through the cheap stuff. Just look at their liqueurs. Incredible. And that's what they're showing, right? It almost doesn't fit on the page. It's so much. It almost would have to go to 2 pages. And that's what they're showing. And then if you click on each liqueur brand, there might be 20 variants of that brand. Just click on Margaritaville. You can't get over it. You can't get over it. So I think the bulk of their revenue is coming from these econo line products. And then they've got the Pappy Van Winkles and that stuff to have the presence, to be in the game. And I mean, you're pretty big in the game when you got the Pappy Van Winkle. So whereas Pabst really just Pabst only deals with the econo line brands. You know, they tried to do premier stuff and it bombed every time, right? They say we got Pabst Old Tankerdale, which can rival any craft beer, and I found that to be true, but no one bought it. Not to mention they did nothing to promote it, so it just doesn't work for them. It didn't work for Anheuser-Busch. They put out all these expensive brands and they don't make it. And I'm not talking about stuff they bought like Goose Island. That's another topic. We've been talking about that on Facebook. What's going on with Bourbon County and CBS from Founders? There's some interesting little things happening there, but I have documents 20 years ago, 25 years ago. They were trying to put out craft products, Stroh's, Anheuser-Busch, Miller, 25 years ago. Now, people will say today, oh, all this stuff with Budweiser Prohibition repeal is just a reaction to the craft beer popularity today. They're late to the game. Anheuser-Busch is late to the game. That isn't so. They're not late to the game. They just haven't had any success in the game. Like I said, I got these old things from the 90s, and some of these people telling me this stuff are 25 years old. Okay, I got stuff that was being done when you were 2. You were 2, and Anheuser-Busch was trying to promote, and Miller, craft beer lines of beers. You know what I mean? Craft style, because according to the arbitrary standards set by the Brewers Association, craft beer, for some reason, is It's not based on what's in the bottle. It's based on the amount of bottles produced or barrels. See what I mean? Like today they'll say Bourbon County is not a craft beer because it's owned by a company that produces so many barrels of beer per year. But Yuengling is. Yuengling traditional lager is a craft beer because of our arbitrary standards, which are readjusted to fit the narrative year to year. So if you use that standard, which to me is a standard based on caprice, total arbitrary, then yeah. But if you base it on what is in the bottle, you know, specialty gourmet beer. I think back in the early 90s, we used to call them specialty beers. There really wasn't that terminology, craft beer. And they used to say microbrew. And then that's kind of started the argument. But yeah, the whole point there is that Anheuser-Busch was trying to produce a whole line of stuff like that in the early 90s, and it wasn't selling for whatever reason. And so they just, and then they tried it again in the 2000s with the Michelob line. I bought them. They tasted really nice to me. It bombed. So, and I'm not coming to their defense. I don't care if they make it or not. That's not my problem. Doesn't matter to me. I'm just coming to the defense of the truth. Of the truth. That's what I'm coming to the defense of, whether you like the company or not. Tour Nation Game and TNG says checking in. Hey, good morning. And I appreciate you watching. Okay, so here we go. This is 10 high. It's got to be. Well, I hope it is. Holy smokes. It's Jethro T boots. Chihuahua. I'm sitting here drinking a 3-year-old bourbon, and I'm claiming it's got more roasty, charred qualities than the 4-year-old. Straight. This is blended. That's straight. Well, just goes to show you. They're very close, either that or I don't know what I'm talking about. But I don't think that's the case. I don't think it's that I don't know what I'm talking about. I just think that it's close. But now some people will say that you're stupid, you do bad videos, you don't know what you're talking about, et cetera, et cetera. My contention, or they'll claim you're biased towards these companies, but it isn't true. It isn't true. But I always say, well, where's your videos? You know, come on, get on the air, start a channel. Let's see. I'll watch. Oh, yeah. I can't do that. You know. Oh, you can't do that. Okay. Right. You can criticize and attack, but you can't do the video. Well, that's fine, though. I mean, it's your purview. You can do what you want, I guess. But, you know, of course, it's easier just to sit back and do the texting and typing and instead of actually doing, you know, I can criticize pro football all day. This guy's trash. This guy. Have I played? Oh no, I never played. I only watched, but I got a lot of jerseys and some football cards. Oh, yeah. All right. Okay. Tour Nation Gaming says a good review regardless. Anyway, that's my challenge. My challenge is, I don't mind you talking the talk. That doesn't really matter. But I would like to see some more walking the walk. Get on there and do blind taste challenges. You know, basically saying man up. Man up or woman up, but mostly the criticism I get is from males, although you have to take into account that if you look at your analytics, 95% of the viewers for these kind of videos are males. The female involvement in this kind of stuff is practically non-existent. It exists, but it's practically non-existent. And don't use the excuse, I can't do blind taste challenges because my wife is at work, or I'm not married and I'm single and there's no one to help me. Do I have help? All you need are 2 identical glasses. I mean, and if you don't care how the video looks, just get some cups. Get plastic cups. You know, you're not drinking the cup, you're drinking the beer. How hard is it to get a piece of paper, write the name of the beer on the paper, and then tape it to the bottom of the cup? This is not difficult. You mix them up. You just mix them and mix them and mix them and mix them. Chances are you're not going to remember which is which. And if you're insane, maybe you will cheat, but that would only prove that you're a maniac, because who in the world would cheat on these type of things except for somebody who's demented, right? Oh, have a good day. Off to work, says Toro Game and Nation Gaming. Oh, well, have a good day at work. And I'm off today, but I was working all yesterday. Have a good day and have a safe day. But the whole point here is you would have to be sort of insane to do that, cheat on a blind taste test. I know people that are that way now. They'll cheat. You play Risk with them and they'll try to cheat, you know. And I just look at them, you know, why would you want to cheat to win a game that doesn't matter? Okay, you beat me in Risk. No one else in the world cares. It's not standings. It's not part of a league. It's not going to be recorded in the history books like the NFL or the NBA. So I would think a person that would do that might want to get some mental health counseling, perhaps. But then they might have no conscience. You see, you get into the psychopathy, right? Sociopath, where they do wrong and they don't have a conscience about it. Obviously, cheating on a game, a board game, wouldn't be as serious as the true psychopaths who, you know what they do. All right, but anyway, oh well. All of that aside, it doesn't look like these two are very easy to tell apart. They're kind of complicated, and so it was a fascinating taste challenge to me, because I thought 4-year age would beat 3 years, but apparently that's not making a whole lot of difference. That extra 12 months didn't really matter in a whole lot. Huh? You have a good day, y'all. I already uploaded a video and beer review. I got so many taste challenges coming for beer. Oh, woo! Get ready, people, because I got some coming, and I want to do them all in one day. You know what I mean? I want to do one after the other, but I know that's not too good of an idea. But that's how impatient I get. Oh boy. Anyway, thanks for watching. It was fun. All the jibber jabber and everything, you know how people do. It's like we're hanging out together, but then I'm doing all the talking, but you can come in, you know, it's kind of weird. Or you could actually join if you had the 2 bourbons. Let's see. I'm going to try to do one Saturday. What should be done next? Let's see. No. Oh. Ancient Age. Or did I do that? I got to check my records. You know, it gets fuzzy. All right. Thanks for watching this video production.